Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. We're here with Colleen from TERRA, and we are talking about giving ourselves lots of good fresh nutrition in the middle of February, in the middle of winter, and you have some good options for us here, ones that we can grow ourselves.
Definitely, it's still possible to eat healthy, eat fresh, and grow it yourself, even though we are in kind of the middle of winter.
It really is hard to imagine, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everything's at this point is very gray and brown, and you know, you're just feeling like you just need some plant life. But
yeah, and
you can do
usually
it.
it's packaged, processed, comes
Yeah.
from goodness knows where. So this you can grow in your house, so you don't need grow lights, and you can still have fresh.
Okay, so talk to me about this. Where do we start?
So what we're talking about is microgreens and sprouts. Very incredibly healthy, very trendy right now. And you can grow these in your house. You don't need a bright sunny window. Most of the sprouts that we've grown in the jars here, these are actually mustard sprouts that are about 4 days old, so in another couple days they'd be ready to eat. And these, I've started sunflowers, are probably about 3 or 4 days out.
Awesome.
And so it's just really, really easy. You just soak them in water overnight, and then rinse them, and then you put them in these little jars upside down, and then just let them go.
So they kind of create their own little microclimate inside of the jar.
Exactly. And then you just rinse them once or twice a day, and then that keeps them moisturized so they don't dry out again. So that's how you kind of water them. So I usually, before I come to work, rinse them out, dump the water, and then when I come home, I'll do that again.
So rinsing, are you putting them through like a strainer type of thing?
No, I just leave them right in here. There's a grid on the
Oh, because there's
bottom.
enough of a grid there that works. Oh,
so
I
you
see.
just pour the
just add some
water in, swirl it around, and then dump out as much as you can in the sink. And then by tilting it like this, will allow the rest of it to just drain out into the
Right,
little
because you don't want the water staying still in there. You want it out, and then away you go. So how do you know when they're ready? How do you know it's quite the right?
Usually, like some of the smaller seeds, like the mustard greens, the radish sprouts, and things like that. Usually about 6 days, 4 to 6 days. It's relatively quickly. Each one is a slightly different. These are sunflower shoots here, so you can see from this to this will take a few more days. And these are pea sprouts, so those again will take a few more days. It just depends on which variety you're using. Some will sprout and be ready to eat within 4 days. Others will take about 7 to 10 days, depending on how far along they are.
So once you remove them from here, there isn't another step at all?
Not really. Some of them you can eat the seeds, like the seeds that are in some of the smaller ones, they just kind of get absorbed into it, and it's not a big deal to eat them. The sunflowers, obviously, you wouldn't want to eat the shells. So as they sprout, then that's what the microgreen part is, where you've actually cut off the root part of it, where the seed is. Whereas sprouts, like bean sprouts, you just basically eat the whole thing.
You can eat the whole thing. Isn't that amazing? And as you were mentioning, there is real talk about eating, sprouted grains and breads and all that type of thing. And to have this in your house, again, you're giving yourself lots of really good nutrients. It's just coming right from, you're growing it yourself.
And it's great. You can make smoothies out of it. You can put it on salads, put it on sandwiches. Like you have alfalfa sprouts that will sprout and be ready to eat in probably about 4 days. Like awesome. Super, super easy.
I was going to say, as you say, throw them in sandwiches and on top of salads. It's awesome. It's such a great way.
And like you can grow wheatgrass inside, so you can have your own wheatgrass healthy smoothies.
I love wheatgrass. See, I'm totally game with that. I mean, and that's the thing. I've had a lot of people, I spend a fair amount of money going out and getting wheatgrass shots. So you have that in your house, and you're able to just, and having it again fresh. And with these things, especially with wheatgrass, you want to make sure you are consuming it right after. You're pressing the juices out.
Yeah,
so
and you know everything that's gone into it. You don't know where it's come from. You know what's been watered with it, whether it's been fertilized, which you don't need to fertilize it in this aspect of it.
And tons and tons of benefits from
definitely.
These. So let's talk about some of the other varieties that we have then.
So some of the popular ones that I really enjoy, there's onion sprouts.
Yeah, those are good.
They are very good, and
very
they
tasty.
Just very mild onion flavor.
Yes,
but really good on salads. Really good in like a pita or something like that. Some of the other ones that have a little bit of a stronger flavor are like the broccoli sprouts, which are really interesting.
Those, I don't think.
And the mustard and the radish sprouts. So just like mustard and radish has a little bit of a kick, the sprouts have a little bit of a kick too. Cool. So all the sprouts kind of have a hint of what their adult version would be.
Right.
So you can kind of have that little flavor too.
Right, and then I've noticed you have mung beans.
Mung beans. These are
very good for you.
Super fast growing.
Really?
So within 3 days, usually, like in a nice warm environment, you can be having some mung beans on your salad.
And we've always talked in the summertime when you're planting and having your kids out in the garden, beans are one of those ones that grow quickly so kids can see, right?
Exactly.
So this is a nice way, again, of doing it in the wintertime with your children, is showing them these type of things because you're getting some action right away.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, they're very, very fast. All of these will sprout like within probably 24, 36 hours. I already started seeing like the little sprouts coming out of them.
Wow.
So it's
That's
super
awesome.
fast for them to see the results of.
I love that. I think it's a really great idea. Now let's talk about, so we've talked about this particular unit, but let's go over to this guy. So how does
the
this work?
ultimate. It's basically the same principle as the
Okay.
other ones. This one
Yeah.
you can do 4 different kinds at once because there's 4 different trays. So you just put your seeds in there, and again, you'd rinse them,
Okay.
let them sit, and then they just would sprout in their trays. Again,
So they don't need any type of covering at all. They're just
No.
going to do what they need to do in there.
very
And it doesn't matter which particular order. Is there certain ones that like to have the,
Nope.
that need more of the open space in the air?
no, not really.
Wow.
Super easy. Everyone will have have instructions too on it, like so if you're
Sure.
not sure of
Right.
it and how many seeds to put into, because as you can see, like some of the packages of seeds here are quite different in size.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and because it's all the same family too, they also kind of guide you as to how many you need in each one.
So something like, if we get back to the wheatgrass a little bit, often you're seeing it growing in trays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can grow that in the top of here, and it's just going to.
It'll just keep growing. It doesn't need soil to grow in, as long as everything's kept moist, because you're not really developing it to develop the seed head for wheat, for instance.
Right.
You want just the sprout, because that's the important part that you want. So
Exactly.
you don't need all the extra stuff. The soil, in essence, in most planting is just to keep the seed stable.
Right.
and
That's what I'm
upright.
thinking. So
It's not
So
totally
when-
necessary.
I think that's really cool. I love that. I've always wondered at the base of wheatgrass, but I've never really looked. But so again, you've got a package like this, and I mean, good price points, as you say, like you're growing. I mean, basically, that's what I'm paying for a shot of wheatgrass, and look how
Exactly.
much is in there.
Yeah,
this
and
is
that'll
going to
last
give
for
you
a while too,
major
'cause
yield.
Especially with stuff like the wheatgrass that you're constantly pruning, then
Yeah.
it'll keep growing too.
Right.
So you
Wow.
can get a few cuts out of it.
Okay, so what is, like, of all the ones that you're doing, what are your favorite? Like you said, you like the onion ones, but
I like the onion ones.
like tell people to branch out here and try some
the
different
mustard
things, right?
ones are exciting because
Yeah.
they just have that little kick and a little bit of heat
Yeah.
that mustard has. And
And how are you growing yours? What are you doing?
I'm using these.
You're using
That's
these.
what I have at my house.
What a neat
And
idea.
another idea that you can companion do with it too is growing like some salad greens. So
Right.
this is like kind of a
was gonna say, oops, sorry.
microgreenish. It's
Yes.
a baby arugula.
Yeah, it looks like arugula, yeah.
So like any of these like little ones, they can grow inside too. And because you're harvesting them young, again, you don't need grow lights, just a bright window, and they'll grow really easily
So
too.
pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do.
Simple.
Like it's worth a try, right? And again,
Definitely.
these are nice looking little guys to be having out on your counter. So
Yep, they're attractive. They're not
Yeah.
messy. There's no soil involved for
No.
sprouts at all. It's just a little bit of water and then just a little bit of daily watering.
let's just go for it. And again, this time of year, you just want to have that fresh, because we know there is a different kind of taste when it's something that's fresh and grown, and when we're used to in the summer produce that we get, right?
Yeah.
But now you get to have it in your own house.
Try something different like the sunflower sprouts.
I was
or
going
the
to say,
pea
some really
greens.
cool ideas. Well, thanks, Colleen. Really good stuff. So again, you can come into the TERRA and pick your contraption and grow some sprouts and be healthy in the winter. Thank you. All right, we'll be back with more TERRA at home. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Adele from Adele Barret Interiors, and we have managed to sneak into this lovely space again that we were here earlier, and this is called the Decorating Center.
Right.
So you are an interior designer.
Yes.
So normally just people every day off the street can't come in here. You have to
That's
be bringing
right.
them in here.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So our focus today, from an interior design perspective, we could talk about everything from wall coverings to obviously all the details from with your decor to the floor.
Yes.
And that's where we're going to start. So we're going to start with having a rug, having your basic rug on the floor, and then designing from that point up, right?
Great place to start.
Okay, and you're going to
Yes.
bring, you brought some different color palettes for us as well. And obviously this center, again, is just full of raw materials and all different types of items. So it just gives people a really great perspective.
It's a wonderful place to bring clients so we can see everything from the rugs right up to lighting and everything in between, and thousands of fabrics to choose from.
Oh, and
so.
that's where we need your help, because
Yes.
it's just hard. It's overwhelming for the average person. So
Yes, it
that's the
is.
need for interior designers. So let's start over on this side. So we're going to start with the rug, right?
Yes.
And then bring up what we can. So someone would be looking
Okay.
at these rugs down here and say, what can I do with these?
Right, so they're unusual colors to begin with.
Yes.
On the right, we have the color of the year, the Pantone color of the year is called it's called Marsala, which is a type of wine. And people might wonder, well, what could I do with that color? It's a bit reminiscent of the 80s.
Yes.
So the way that we've updated it is we've brought in gray, a beautiful warm gray, and the featured fabric there is a floral, but it's actually a stitched pattern onto a linen background. It's not a print, so
it's a texture
it's
to it.
quite special, yes. And then we've added a velvet in a nice zigzag pattern, so that might be what you use for the sofa.
Okay.
Because I like to use a more solid type of texture and pattern, not so much pattern, so you can always change your pillows.
Yes.
So that the lovely stitched fabric floral could be used for pillows, and then that could be changed out. So that might be summer, and you might change it out for
and that
winter.
makes sense, because your big investment pieces, you can't be changing those all the time,
That's-
right? You're spending
that's
the
it.
money on those,
Yes.
so keep them neutral and then just add all the other things
Right.
around it.
Exactly.
Okay, so again, those are interesting colors, because
Yes.
to start from, as you say, that wine color, and then all the way getting
Right.
up to more of a pink,
To
pink,
pink, yes.
But you made it happen, because it's the way it all works together.
That's right. So it's in the same family, and then gray is a beautiful neutral. And we're careful to introduce some interesting patterns and some interesting textures. So we have that gorgeous, very reflective fabric, the metallic.
I love that.
Metallic weave in that linen is gorgeous. And
That's the neat part about it, is it's a linen, so it still has that sort of raw, natural quality to
That's
it, but it
right.
lifts it and makes it look a little dressier and formal
Yes.
by having that sheen to it.
yes.
I like that.
Yeah, and the zigzag pattern is
Yep.
repeated. So whenever you can repeat a pattern, it's a neat way to mix pattern. People quite
I
often
see.
wonder, how do they mix pattern, and that's one of the ways that you can do it.
Very nice. I
Yeah.
like that. So then the possibilities. So now we have that other more of like a purpley rug that's
Yes,
beside it too.
yes. So it has enough pink in it that it works with the pink in the fabrics.
Right.
And if someone didn't want the Marsala color, that would be a good alternative. And it's a little bit dressed up. So the carpet on the right is a little more of a less formal
Yes,
fabric.
I can see that.
And then the one on the left has a bit more sheen, and the strié stripe looks a little bit more formal. So you can get two very different
Exactly.
moods with the same group of fabrics by changing the rug.
So we're going to take a big jump, and we're going to come over to here. And you had mentioned to me before, sort of in color and design, you would never really go with pinks and oranges before. But
That's
this
right.
is what's happening here. But it's grounded by something very light and very soft, but something very kind of trendy right now.
Yes, and bold. So yeah, these are colors that our grandmother told us never ever to wear together. And as you said, you know, it's a good reason to do it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, exactly.
and they are in the same family, so they go beautifully. So here we have a choice of 3 rugs. So if we were doing a more informal room, like a family room, or even a living room that you didn't want too formal, you might use that brown shag. And shag has
It's back.
It
I have a
is
shag
back.
rug in my
You
house.
do.
I love it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't go
fun.
there because I did it already.
It's very comfortable.
It is.
I remember it as a kid with the
Yes.
beaded doors.
Well, they're more comfortable. The fibers are softer than they were back in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think people rake. Do you rake your rug? I don't think people rake them anymore.
No.
They're not that bad. They're really
No.
not that bad. So that would be the more laid back version.
Right.
And then the orangey red would be a really vibrant room. And then of course the boldest choice would be that very flat woven
Sure.
carpet, but it's bold because the colors are
Shows
very
the possibilities,
graphic.
right?
Yes.
You know, and you were saying, you know, with having the pillow now and having that trim around the pillows just adds again to the room. It just ups things a
It
little
does.
bit, right?
Another level of texture. So every time you add a texture, you add a level of sophistication and interest in the room. So
Sure.
you've got the texture of the
this.
studding.
This is great.
Yeah, so the gold, I'm here to say gold is definitely back. Don't be afraid of
Yeah.
it. People are hanging on to their oil rub bronze and their satin nickel.
Right.
I'm still a fan, and in fact, I love polished nickel, but I am really enjoying
But you can see
gold.
how this works so well with
It's
this. This is
it's
very
wonderful.
nice.
Yeah, they're all very, very warm colors here. And again, that might be your sofa, and
Sure.
that's what I would certainly recommend is
Perfect.
that we stay with a very neutral.
It's gorgeous. That's great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a room done like that.
but nice texture.
Okay, now we're going to go over to something very, very neutral, a little
Yes.
bit deeper, a little bit in tone and color, but some real interesting possibilities with the rugs.
Right. This is my favorite. I never tire of brown and ivory and gray and black. And so, yes, the carpet, starting with the carpet, the one on the my right here is a sisal, and it's a wonderful large houndstooth pattern. So it's a great mixture of sort of warm and cool colors. And again, I love that contrast. So if I were choosing a sofa, I might choose this cut velvet, which is very beautiful in the charcoal, or I might even go with that very simple light cocoa brown linen.
And that's the thing, you are seeing lots of blacks, again, two blacks and whites too.
Oh,
Which black and
yes.
white I don't think really ever goes out. It always looks so nice, even in dress and clothing.
Yes.
It looks so nice, but it's very beautiful in your home because it has a nice grounding with the black, right? But the
Yes.
white's so light.
Yes.
But again, you're softening it by having just more softer tones with it versus white.
The natural linen is
Yeah, I like the
really
natural.
warm, and again, an emphasis on really natural fabrics. So that the sisal rug is natural, that's a linen, and it's embroidered, that chain stripe is embroidered as the first fabric was.
And one thing you're really mentioning too is when you have lots of neutrals like this, really go with texture. So have lots of different textures, because if you don't, then it's just going to be boring neutral.
It'll be flat. It'll be really flat. So you've got a lot of different grays happening here. Even the chair that everything is sitting on is a beautiful, very warm gray. And then you can see that the gray in that houndstooth velvet, cut velvet, is a much sort of bluer, steelier gray. They all work beautifully together.
I love it.
I really like the wood. This might be a beautiful table in the room.
Sure.
And it looks like it's recycled wood.
And that's the thing, it just shows you different possibilities. So right here, just then and now, always with the help of a designer. And again, we just want to mention, of course, you're located in Dundas, Adele Barret Interiors.
Yes.
And having a real professional interior designer can make all the difference in the world in your
Well,
home.
thank
So
you.
thank you so much, and giving us some insight and to all the folks here at the Decorating Center as well. All right,
Thank
we'll
you
be back
so
with more
much.
Terra at Home.
When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of Terra. Make your dreams come true at Terra, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. We're back in our kitchen here today with Chef Mark from La Piazza Allegra Restaurant in Hamilton. And what are we making today? I can see we have pasta.
We're doing a pasta. Now this is one of those where, you know, you want to do a quick dinner. More than likely these ingredients will be in your house, and if they're not, it's a couple simple things you got to pick up.
Okay.
We have some diced onion, baby spinach, this, and there's very few times I'll actually tell you to buy anything out of a can, but this is canned tuna.
Okay, I was
Now-
going to ask you, I'm like, that looks like it's canned tuna.
It's canned tuna, and actually the fresh tuna does not work as well with this pasta dish,
Sure.
believe it or not.
Okay.
So this is canned tuna. The only thing I would say is buy a high quality can of tuna.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and this is the one done in oil.
Okay.
Because we're going to be putting, it's an olive oil based sauce anyway, so get the one in oil, that way you don't have that water content in there.
Oh, okay. And
or
you know
the
what?
vegetable broth.
Well, as you're mentioning too, like having these ingredients on hand, generally, I have all these in my kitchen right now. So
Yeah.
that's great. And having a can of tuna, that's a great protein that's just sitting in your cupboard.
Sitting
So there
ready
you
to go. It's,
Okay.
you know what, it's, like I said, it takes longer to cook the pasta than it does to actually
Anything
make the
else?
sauce. Yeah.
All right, good.
We have some pureed garlic. And then the other thing, this is the one thing you might not have, this is anchovy paste. So you can either, this is the easy way of dealing with anchovies, get
Yes.
it as a paste already. If not, of course, you can buy the fillets and then just mince it up. And when you're doing that, you would just put it on a board, start chopping it, add a little bit of oil to it. It'll make it a lot better, and it won't come as pureed as
Quite
that.
as pureed as
but
that.
it'll
But that's
be,
the one that just comes in a tube, right?
comes
Just
in a
squeeze
tube,
in
and that's
you're
it.
good to
Yep,
go.
that's what that is
That's
there.
great to have on hand because you can use it for Caesar salads and all kinds of things. Right?
Exactly. And you know what? If you're making something like a fish soup, this gives a real
Yes. Oh,
sense
yes.
of depth to the soup. So, all right. So we have a pan. It's a nice warm skillet. I'm adding a little bit of grapeseed oil to
How
that.
come grapeseed?
Health properties, high smoking point. I don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
So it's a nice healthy oil to use.
right.
We're going to saute those onions, and I'm going to let those go a bit here. Okay. We have some kosher or sea salt. You're going to add it in. You don't want too much because you have some salt in there.
Yes.
And you have salt in
And then the tuna.
So you have the spinach and the tomatoes that are going to balance that out.
Okay.
But if you noticed, I have not put in the garlic yet. You want to saute this first before you put in the garlic because the onions do take a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay? So you're going to wait until they turn translucent. Doesn't really matter what kind of pasta you use. I prefer long noodle. And of all the long noodles, I don't know, maybe tradition or whatever it is, spaghetti's my favorite.
Sure.
I
Yep.
just like the cut.
Yep.
So we're going to put that into the pot.
Okay.
And of course, you're putting that into salted water. Okay, you're going to salt it like the sea.
I've been making sure I do that now ever since I've been working with you. It's actually, it's much better.
It is, it is. And we have some grape tomatoes. And I'm not cutting them right in half, but I am splitting them a bit. And that is just to save you from wearing this tomato, because if you put it in and you do not puncture a hole into it, it will burst on you.
Yep, and that's happened many a times to people, and it's not nice. So,
Hot oil, hot tomatoes.
yeah. Oh, it's messy, and it could burn you. So, okay, good idea.
So tomatoes go in. And then we're going to add our garlic.
So that's pureed garlic too. right,
Pureed
you're
garlic,
using?
yeah. So we take our garlic cloves, clean them, put them in a food processor, blend them with some oil.
Okay.
And we're going to saute all this. Again, as you can see, I've not added a lot of oil to this because I do have the tuna that has the oil in it.
Right,
Okay, so
right.
we're going to use that because it's got that nice fish flavor anyway.
Sure.
And we're going to stir our
So the
pasta
anchovy
around.
paste, so, there's some people that are really against it, and just, well, if they know they're having something that it's obvious in like a Caesar salad, they'll ask for it to be omitted. Are you really, is a person going to know, if you put this in here, are they going to really know it's in there, or is it just going to kind of
gonna-
add to the flavor and then they'll sneak it past them?
You could probably sneak it past them because what it's going to do, you have tuna in there that's got a fishy flavor anyway. This just
Right.
enhances that.
That's what I was thinking.
Now, because it's pureed like this out of the tube, you're not going to get any chunks.
Right, so that's why it's just going to all blend in.
It's all gonna
overall.
blend in.
So you're just putting out about just a little bit in there.
You don't need a lot.
No.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of that. Now, you start to see the onions brown up and everything like that. We have some white wine.
Ah, that'll be nice flavor.
And I'm adding a fair amount of white wine to that. You want that acidity in there. That'll deglaze the pan, but it also help reduce those onions down, and it'll actually start sweetening them up. So if you were
Yes.
to take white onions and just put them on the stove and added wine to it and did that, say, 4 or 5 times, let it reduce, you'd be surprised how sweet the onions actually come out. They taste caramelized.
Right.
So we're going to let that go. Now we can add in our tuna. And keep in mind, this is already cooked, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Let's add a little bit
So you
more.
are not going to drain that at all?
No.
Okay.
No, that has the oil in it.
You want to have that in there.
You want it in there.
Okay.
Yep. So we have both fish in there now. And this is what I was saying. The difference between this and the fresh tuna is this breaks up nicely in the pasta.
Right.
It'll spread better on the pasta noodle itself. If you wanted to use fresh tuna, what I would suggest doing is do everything else that we're going to make in this sauce. Cook your tuna separate and sear it and then slice
then
it and
just
fan
layer
it
it.
on top.
Okay.
I mean, there's no point in paying for that kind of tuna
Right.
and try to
No.
break it up and do what we're doing here
No.
anyway.
It wouldn't be worth it.
It would not be worth it.
And then again, this is what's the whole magic of this dinner is it's nice and easy, right?
Very
people are,
simple.
especially on a school night or work night, people are looking for something fast and easy, but still a good, solid homemade meal. So
That's right.
have the ingredients on hand and away you go.
And away you go. This from our potted basil,
Yes, our fresh herbs here at
fresh
Terra.
herbs. Yeah. And it is nice. You know, this is a great thing to have on hand all the time. Put it in the windowsill, have it there. You know, I would suggest having basil, maybe having rosemary growing there for you. Other than that, you don't really need too much more in the wintertime. That'll give you enough flavor. and stuff
Flavors,
like
right?
that.
Yeah, and everybody has their favorite herbs that they love, right? So whatever you don't think you use the most of, you
If
know.
you use a lot of dill, dill's another
Yeah.
popular one.
I use cilantro almost every day.
And then there's cilantro.
I'm a huge
yeah.
fan. I know some people hate it, but I
I
love
think it
it.
reminds you of being on vacation in Mexico
I think
or
so. Yeah,
something.
you know
That's
what? I
it is.
always have it. I put it on my eggs and with avocados, and I'm always eating those kind of flavors. So I just throw it in there.
There you go.
Very good.
So we're just going to let this reduce a little bit because
Okay.
you do want those flavors to incorporate.
Perfect. All
And
right,
we'll go from there.
we'll let that do that, and we'll cook, and we'll come back and break, and we'll put it all together.
Sounds
There you
good.
go.
When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of Terra. Make your dreams come true at Terra, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
I am a truth seeker.
A storyteller.
A dedicated volunteer.
I am a caring neighbor.
A customer's best friend.
And a client advocate.
I am a survivor.
A social media junkie.
A proud father of four and problem solver.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am.
We are the Hamilton Spectator.
Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. We're back with Chef Mark, and we're making this awesome tuna pasta, and we're just saying how great it smells. You can smell the white wine in there, and the garlic and onions. It's great.
Everything's come together.
It's all come
So the
together.
pasta is now done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain that. And of course, when you cook your pasta, al dente is what you're looking for.
Right. It always tastes so much better that way.
Oh, it's so good. You don't
A
want to
little bit of firmness to
overcook.
it.
Yeah, you want some firmness to it. We're going to throw that straight into our pan. Then we're going to take this baby spinach that we have. We'll throw it in.
Again,
Just gonna let it wilt
some good
down a
greens
little
in there,
bit.
some good protein.
Yeah, proteins, greens, you got the tomatoes.
Yeah.
It all comes together.
And lots of nice color. It looks good. It's going to look really good in that white bowl.
Red, white, and green.
Oh, geez, the theme, the theme.
Red, white, and green. Now, the only thing we're going to do at the very end here, this is when you take your olive oil and you drizzle it. You don't want to do it ahead of time because the olive oil will burn.
All right. So as you're plating that, just to remind everybody at home, I know you're going to want to have this recipe handy on one of those cold winter days. TerraGreenhouses.com, you can find the recipe, and it'll be something, maybe it'll be one of your staples in your kitchen.
Yep, nice and easy. Simple, simple.
Looks great, so good. So good.
Take some fresh basil.
And of course, our winter market is still on as well, a Terra at Home winter market at our Milton store, so you can always check that out. It runs today until 3 o'clock, so something good to go to and grab some of these ingredients. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, have yourself a good weekend.